It's pretty evident the human species has been part of the Mario universe since the beginning of his time, even despite his interesting physique. Mario is human, with Super Mario Odyssey serving as one of the most notable and recent appearances of other humans in the Mario series, humans that looked more realistic, relatively speaking. However, this was just the tip of the human iceberg. Tons of other humans have existed in this universe for many years prior. Well over 100 actually. So I wanted to take this video to go over every single one of them. Probably going to be one of the longest videos I've ever made, so if you're able to make it from start to finish, I love you. Here's every single human being in the Mario universe. Starting off with the man, myth, legend, Bing Bing Wahoo Man, Mario was the first human introduced to his universe in the Donkey Kong arcade game. Started off as a carpenter, became a plumber, then the savior of the Mushroom Kingdom, and many other kingdoms alike. This guy is what human beings should prosper to be. Build and all. The one other human character as old as Mario is Pauline, originally the damsel in distress needing rescuing from Donkey Kong. Pauline's earned her time back in the spotlight in the series as an incredible singer, mayor of New Donk City, and is directly involved in the gameplay elements of Donkey Kong Bonanza. Yeah, she's only 13 years old in this game, which apparently breaks the entire Mario universe space-time continuum, and by extension, people's brains on Twitter. But if this means it's a reboot of sorts to her and DK's lore, I don't really mind at this point. The direction itself is arguably more interesting as it adds to their characterization more than previous titles. While editing this video, we learned Pauline has an unnamed grandmother through bits of dialogue in Donkey Kong Bonanza. Many believe this grandmother is the original blonde-haired lady character Cranky kidnapped in the first Donkey Kong game. Pretty interesting theory, but not one I personally subscribe to. Some of you guys might not remember who Stanley is, but this little rascal was the main playable character in Donkey Kong 3, known for his profession as an exterminator. He uses his spray gun as his main weapon against DK, although his appearances from then on were quite scarce, at best making small cameos in the WarioWare series. Naturally, Big Weege is also a human since he's Mario's younger twin brother, both born to human parents as well, who have been seen in small glimpses over the years, like parts of their bodies at the end of Yoshi's Island or in this Japanese Mario cartoon based on the folktale The One-Inch Boy. It wasn't until Illumination's Mario movie where both their mother and father were given full-body designs and speaking voices. These particular designs were supposedly based on sketches from former Nintendo employee Yoichi Kotabe, and he drew these, decades before the movie was released. This movie also gave the Mario Bros. Two uncles and an aunt named Tony, Arthur, and Marie, a niece addicted to her phone, and a grandfather who looks like an older version of Andy Capp, making this easily the biggest instance of the majority of Mario lovers witnessing the Mario family tree being expanded upon. Although many other obscure pieces of media gave them family members decades before this, the live-action cartoon hybrid Super Mario Bros. Super Show gave these guys a lot of weird relatives, who were mostly played by the same actors playing Mario and Luigi, which was pretty hilarious, not gonna lie. Like Aunt Lugina, a noticeably older-looking and bossy relative. Aunt Maria, not to be confused with Illumination's Aunt Marie, although this woman is only mentioned by name, followed by a cloud in the sky resembling her face. But since she's called an aunt by the bros, I'm going to assume she's human. Same goes for any other Mario family relatives only mentioned by name from here on out. Another character named Lugina and her sister Marianne are cousins of Mario. The resemblance is uncanny. Their party animal niece Marilyn, who since is the only other niece of theirs with the name, I'm gonna make my headcanon the younger niece from Illumination's movie is also named Marilyn. Just let me have this one, please. Marilyn also has an unnamed, unshown mother who is likely related to the family as well, even if it's not by blood. But my personal favorites of the Super Show relatives are Mario Joe and Luigi Bob, who are literally just Mario and Luigi with farmer hats on to, better convey their country bumpkin lifestyle. The grandfather was visibly shown once before the movie as well in a Nintendo Power advertisement for the Super Show, yet never made any official appearances in said show, probably because this piece of art was treated more like concept art rather than something that would happen in the final product. Further evident by the Toads and Bowser looking way different. Their grandmothers were brought up two different times in the Super Show under the names Grandma Mario and Grandma Mia. Grandma Mario appeared as a ghost who took over Mario's body when he and Luigi performed a seance, while Grandma Mia was mentioned by Mario when talking about garlic chip cookies she used to make. With their last two relatives coming from the Super Mario Kun and Mario Kodansha manga series, Mario, with an accent over the I, no clue if I pronounced this correctly, is one of Mario's descendants from the year 2159. He's got a giant head, small face, and wears what looks like sci-fi space clothing. Also got a girlfriend named Peachime, which translates to Princess Peach, who looks a lot like Peach, but was never outright stated to be her descendant. while Ima no Mario, or Modern Mario, is another Mario descendant, but from an alternate timeline where Bowser took over the world. Now the poor guy's left out to dry in Ludwig's museum. I really hope his balls aren't being affected by that nail, because good lord, that is diabolical if so. Princess Peach is obviously human as well, although her origins/family connections are even more shrouded in mystery than the Mario Bros. As the Illumination movie implied, she was originally from Mario's dimension, whereas other pieces of media like the Japanese-only film Peachime Kyushu Daisakusen, she was already in the Mushroom Kingdom when she had first met Mario. Regardless, she does have some human family out there, depending on the piece of media you're consuming. Her father's identity is a bit of a tricky one. First mentioned in English manuals for the first Super Mario Bros. Game, pictures of him show very human-like characteristics, but at the same time, the lack of visible ears and very rounded hat could also imply he's a much different looking Toad or even half-Toad, as we've seen Toads come in many different shapes and sizes over the years. Even still, stuff like the Kodansha manga have depicted him in a more human-like form, so that's probably what he is. The Super Show gives Peach a grandmother named Grandma Toadstool as well, being one of the only relatives to a main character seen in animated form, as the previous Super Show Mario family members were almost entirely live-action characters. She reminds me a lot of Grandma Spankenheimer from the Run Over by a Reindeer movie, at least in terms of physical appearance. Peach's second grandmother appears in Super Mario Kun's 13th volume, the same one mentioned previously that had the alternate timeline where Bowser won. Supposedly, she's over 100 years old and somehow not in a wheelchair. Good stuff. As for Daisy, she's another human obviously, and Princess of Sarasaland. There was a blurb from Double Dash's guidebook that said she and Peach were cousins, which again, probably isn't true. Actually, Daisy does have a father who's only shown in the Mario Kodansha manga. They're a pretty standard looking human king character with a mustache and all. This is the only family member she has though, as opposed to the previous characters that have several. The only piece of media where Daisy isn't actually a human is the 1993 Mario movie, where she's a Dino Hat Knight, or dinosaur person. If you don't believe me, here's baby Daisy hatching from an egg at the start of the movie. Even on a rewatch, this, still creeps me the hell out. So that pretty much covers it when it comes to major human families in Mario, with the remaining humans not really having notable family ties to others that will be mentioned. Like Wario and Waluigi. While these guys look similar to one another, they're not actually brothers, rather two guys who work together towards the same goal of upstaging the Mario Brothers. When I was younger, I wasn't 100% convinced if Wario was a human because of his pointed ears and the way he shrunk down to a goblin-looking state at the end of Mario Land 2, but Wario World coming out fully convinced me. As the game's manual showed, his anatomy was like a human skeleton's. Sure, he's got some nicks in there, like the cockroach on his brain and hairs on his heart, but he seems to be managing just fine. There was an urban legend going around that Wario and Mario were cousins, but this has never been officially confirmed by anyone at Nintendo. Wario does have a mother who's been directly mentioned if you weren't aware already. She calls him at one point during the blooper reel for Mario Powder Tennis's opening cutscene.
Hello? Ma, I told you not to call me. I'm making cat.
Rosalina is tricky for me because her status as a princess of the cosmos makes it feels like she's not exactly human, but rather a goddess, a being who's on a, different plane of existence from the normal human race. However, she does have, striking human features, so I figured I'd throw her on here anyway just in case. Probably would have gotten flamed if I left someone as beloved as she is out. And all these characters I previously mentioned, with the exception of Waluigi unfortunately, have baby forms. These were other ones I wasn't sure I should mention, but because series like Mario Kart kind of classify the adults and the babies as separate characters, figured I'd throw them in there anyway. Professor Egad became one of the newest major human characters introduced in the Mario series, where his presence was impactful enough to appear in several titles aside from just Luigi's Mansion games. Like the first two Mario and Luigi's, he's pretty much the last semi-popular human character with a unique design and name who's been in multiple Mario games over the years. Super Paper Mario's Tippy, or Lady Timpani, is relatively popular too, I suppose, even though she only appeared in one game, but this game is still considered by many to have the best story in Mario. While Tippy was in the form of a pixel butterfly for the majority of the game, we eventually learned she used to be a human girl and Count Bleck's former lover. Il Piantissimo is up for debate, because some people have no problem saying he's human, yet my nerd ass knows the man under that mask is the Running Man's model from Majora's Mask, which would in turn make him a Hylian. Or a Terminian? I don't know. That brother's weird. With the remaining humans, at least when it comes to mainline titles, being no-names like the 7 king characters from Super Mario Bros. 3, with the power of the Koopaling's wands, all of them are transformed back into humans, and of course, the New Donkers. The main NPCs who roam about New Donk City. It took me a bit to get used to these guys, but now they feel like they fit right into the whole group, they really do. Especially with Mario embracing the weirder side the past few years. Funniest thing about these guys for me was seeing them run the Crazy Cap store in Bowser's Kingdom instead of Goombas or Koopas. Very weird combo, but it's also hilarious because it's like, why are you guys here and how are you not freaking out? Now for the more spin-off game-focused characters and ones who have only appeared a couple times, or even just once in their lifetime. Bear with me here because this section's gonna be way longer than the previous. Antonio Zicho is one of 5 human characters who act as opponents to Mario in Famicom Grand Prix F1 Race, with the other 5 being Michael Rumble, George Turo, Bronco Mancini, Howard Axel, and Panther Pedaf. A couple games on the Game & Watch system had unnamed human characters that went by their job titles, those being the Referee, the Alarm Man, Heavy Smoker, and Buddies. Foreman Spike is one of the oldest Mario characters as well, serving as Mario and Luigi's boss in the game Wrecking Crew, as well as their former boss in the Illumination Mario movie. Depicted as a very cocky guy who thinks Mario's dreams are pointless, maybe his appearance in this movie will lead to him appearing in future games now, like how it influenced DK's design change, but I'm not necessarily counting on it. Come 1998 for the release of Wrecking Crew 98, 2 new human characters named Ononako and Oizai served as bonus bosses if you got certain challenges done. Ononako straight up means young girl in Japanese too, so she doesn't even have a real name. This is a really obscure one, but another version of Super Mario Bros. Lost Levels called All Night Nippon Super Mario Bros. Was a game released only in Japan to feature unique human characters. These characters were modeled and named after real-world Japanese celebrities. Miyuki after radio personality Miyuki Nakajima, Takakai is a comedian Takaki Ishibashi, Noritaki Kininashi is another comedian, Kyoko Koizumi or Kyonkon, a singer/actress, filmmaker Beat Takeshi, Daisuke Matsuno aka Machan the comedian, Hideyuki Nakayama, another comedian, with an 8th unnamed human who's a prisoner in worlds 8-4, B4, and C4. There's a chance he's based on another celebrity named Suro Shofuteki, due to them closely resembling each other, but I don't believe he was ever officially name-dropped throughout the game. There was a similar situation with Super Mario Bros. 2, where it received its own Japan-only sequel called BS Super Mario USA for the Stellaview. I love how it has USA in the title, despite being a Japan-exclusive game, by the way. 2 human characters were added to this game, the King of Subcon and his Commander Shuriken. The first golf game where multiple Mario characters became playable was NES Open Tournament Golf. Not only was this one of the earliest iterations of Luigi and Daisy being depicted as a couple, it introduced some more human characters into what was mostly a Mario game, those being Steve, Billy, Mark, and Tony. The 16th President of the United States, Abe Lincoln, is in a way part of the Marioverse. I wish I was kidding. He and many other historical figures appear in the 1993 educational game Mario's Time Machine alongside his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln. Bowser stole his spectacles or something, so Mario's gotta get those back for him. Abe was also given his own Mii costume in both versions of Smash 4, so clearly Nintendo has a bit of a soft spot for Honest Abe over here. Aristotle's another one, based on the real-life Greek philosopher of the same name. Mario runs into him at one point when trying to retrieve Plato's writings, which Bowser stole. Plato, another Greek philosopher who appears in the same game around the same area too. Albert Einstein actually appeared in more than one piece of Mario media, the first appearance being in the live-action section of the Super Show, with the next as an 8-bit version in Mario's Time Machine. Andrew Iverson is a self-insert character for Mario's Time Machine, made by former employee of the game's development team with the same name. Bowser screwed him over by stealing the disc that contained the final version of the game that's technically being played. Same thing with David Grenanetsky, Don Lloyd, and Jeff Griffith, the company's senior vice president, project manager, and art director respectively. To blitz through the rest of the Mario Time Machine real-life figures, because there are quite a lot, and I don't want to drag this section out too long, here we go. There's Tolmiac Kingdom Queen Cleopatra VII, Julius Caesar, Frederick Douglass, composers Ludwig van Beethoven, Wolfgang Mozart, Constance Mozart, and Franz Joseph Haydn, French physician Pierre-Paul Émile Roux, presidential advisor Booker T. Washington, Ford Motor Company founder Henry Ford, keynote genius George Washington Carver, William Shakespeare and his wife Anne Hathaway. Genuinely didn't know she shared the same name with the modern actress until writing this video. The more you know. English stage actor Richard Burbage, Ben Franklin and his wife Deborah Reed, as well as fellow founding father Thomas Jefferson, French chemist Louis Pasteur, the Duke of Alençon, Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei, nautical explorers Ferdinand Magellan and Juan Sebastian Delcano, Joan of Arc, King of the Frauds, Thomas Edison, Chinese Emperor Hoshi and his castrated court official, Kai Lun. I will not elaborate on this further, as I do not want to get demonetized. English writers Charles Dickens and his wife Catherine, English scientist Michael Faraday and his wife Sarah Bernard, Swiss physician Charles Gaspard de la Rive, 100% butchered that, Mahatma Gandhi, German inventor Johann Gutenberg, Venetian explorer Marco Polo, world-renowned painter of the Mona Lisa, Leonardo da Vinci, Queen Elizabeth I, father of the three laws of motion, Isaac Newton, ancient shogun, Miyamoto no Yoritomo, sea captain, Sir Francis Drake, founder of the Yuan dynasty, Kublai Khan, famous sculptor Michelangelo, another less-known painter named Raphael Sanzio, who was also prominent during the Renaissance era, closing it out with English astronomer Edmund Halley. The majority of these guys only appeared in this game as well, so if you never played it before or didn't go out of your way to learn about it, now you know. Since Mario is Missing was also developed by the software toolworks like Mario's Time Machine, it makes sense that other human characters would be in this game as well, albeit they aren't as noteworthy in name as the previous figures from history. Like the human NPCs from the NES and SNES versions simply named Boy, Tourist, Reporter, Scientist, Curator, and Police Officer. However, the PC version adds even more human characters to its cast, including, but not limited to, the Mayor of Amsterdam, Mayor A. Cheever, Mayor Bernstein, Mayor Sellout, Mayor Chasen, Mayor Cook, Mayor Devote Getter, Mayor Frubnitz, Mayor Grenanetsky, probably just like the developer, Mayor Griffith, Mayor Ivy Gotta Serve, Mayor I'm a Worrywart, Mayor Consenberg, Mayor L.S. Eismore, Mayor Labs, Mayor Landslide, Mayor Linguine, Mayor McCarthy, Mayor McChan, Mayor Munchkins, Mayor OK Leader, Mayor Shumutsnikoff, Mayor Sidley, Mayor Singer, Mayor Smallberg, and the Mayor of Toronto, Canada. Damn, couldn't even give a couple of these guys real names, could they? Who all serve the same purpose of contacting Luigi whenever he arrives to their respective cities. Kinda wish all the names were puns though, instead of just some of them, but whatever. Feels weird to have one named Landslide, another with the name Cook, and another to have not a name at all. A-Cause and B-Cause are two human tennis players from the Game Boy Color version of Mario Tennis, serving as tricky and power opponents respectively. Eventually, a third Cause brother named Willie was introduced in 2005 Mario Tennis Power Tour, where he acts as a boss character of sorts. The human cast for the Color version is actually quite large, with the remaining human names being Allie, a speed character, Joy, a technique character, Brian the all-rounder, Pam, another all-rounder, Bob, a powerhouse, Beth Speedy, Faye Power, Kurt Tricky, Mark All-Round, shout out to that guy since we got the same name, Sammy Technique, Sean All-Round, same with Spike, who to be clear is unrelated to the foreman mentioned earlier, Eldon Speed, and Emily Speed. The most interesting character from this unique roster in my opinion is Alex, as he is voiced by Penn Badgley, aka Joe Goldberg. Sadly, Alex's three counterparts, Nina, Kate, and Harry, are still fine, but not Joe Goldberg level. Same goes with Power Tour's human cast, where over 30 characters were playable. Ace is a human girl character serving as its female protagonist, while the male one is Clay, with the unlockables names being Sophia, Meg, Mason, Chad, Sasha, Sylvia, Chris, Kyle, Gary, Jet, Linda, Sean, Kyoko, Mickey, Roy, Emmy, Skipper, Flit, weird name but sure, Paula, Tori, Whisker, getting weird again, Elroy, Barb, Sass, Chas, Mel, who is straight up Chun-Li from Street Fighter, Dweezil, Minx, and Sherry. Unplayable human characters are Leon and Peter from the Union School, the Royal Tennis Academy headmaster and his secretary Samantha, Oscar from the Empire School, then Chet from the Factory School, and the Shadow Swingstress. Most of these character designs look like they could fit right into a Pokemon spin-off title or Digimon game in my opinion. Like the Mario Tennis game on Game Boy Color, both Mario Golf on the N64 and the Game Boy Color version had its own set of human characters. Game Boy Color humans include Azalea, Kid, Sherry, Joe, Putz, Grace, Tiny, and Genius. Tiny over there doesn't even look like he belongs in a golf game with a fit like that. Put that brother in the MMA ring. Toronto. On top of some unplayable NPCs like Bud, the Marion course manager, Pro, the pro golfer at the same course, Plum, who's in this and the N64 version, Lime, Lily, and Flint are three characters who can use different rules after the player becomes a champion of the Dune Club. Can't forget the Golf Guru or Elf either. Despite that name, he's still classified as a human, acting as the owner of Elf Short Course in this game as well as Mario Golf Advance Tour. When it comes to the N64 game, a few other humans made their Nintendo debuts as well, like Charlie, Sunny, Harry, and Maple as playable characters. All the non-playable enemies in this game are standard enemies like Cheep Cheeps and Monty Moles. Mario Golf Advance Tour added two new human characters named Neil and Ella, whilst bringing back old faces like Putz, Tiny, and Genius, on top of adding new unplayable humans like Buzz, Helen, Grampy, and Grammy. Advance Tour would be the final time these unique human characters would be seen in the Mario Golf series, which was possibly because Mii's were a thing now, so there wasn't much use for these other guys anymore who didn't hold nearly as much weight to their names as the Mario mainstays. Same case with the Mario Tennis games, with every game after Power Tour. The 1993 SNES game Yoshi Safari introduced two human characters in King Fret and Prince Pine, a father-son duo who govern the peaceful kingdom of Jewelry Land, but needed to be rescued by Yoshi after they were kidnapped by Bowser and the Koopalings. Booster from Super Mario RPG is easily one of my favorite one-time appearances of a human character. Well, more like 1.5 if you count the Switch remake. He's the closest thing we got to Wario appearing in a Mario RPG while still feeling like his own character in a way. The best thing about him? I'd have to say the way he has no issue with supporting LGBTQ rights. Need more men like Booster out there, we really do. Speaking of Wario, let's go over some of Wario's human side character friends / acquaintances. Captain Syrup is another fan favorite, of course, known for her appearance as a boss in the different Wario Land games. I wouldn't say she's quite as popular as Ashley is, but she's definitely got a solid following of her own. I'm a sucker for pirate characters, so I'm definitely biased here. Mad Scienstein also debuted in Wario Land 3, even appearing outside a Wario game one other time in Dr. Mario 64. A fitting game considering his position as a scientist. Princess Shakura is the human princess in needing of rescuing in Wario Land 4. Originally a black cat, she's revealed to be this human princess after Wario defeats the genie demon known as the Golden Diva. Sarissa from the SNES version of Wario's Wood seems to be the only other human character besides Wario himself. She acts as the 13th boss for the game's versus com mode. Carpaccio, Goodstyle, and Count Cannoli are the three main human characters besides Wario from the game Wario Master of Disguise. Carpaccio acts as the rival / secondary antagonist of the game, who's a thief despite coming from wealth himself. Goodstyle is a member of the Cannoli clan turned into a magic wand and the one who allows Wario to transform in the game, while Count Cannoli fills the same role as Carpaccio, being the original owner of Goodstyle, but had it stolen by Wario. The two of them naturally butt heads throughout the game as a result of this. The police-looking enemies known as Whistlebottoms, Officer Kicksworth, and Sergeant Houndstooths are likely humans as well, considering they look like standard police officers from the real world. Queen Merelda is the one new human character introduced in Wario Land Shake It, serving as the princess who needs rescuing due to the Shake King taking over the Shake Dimension. The cutscenes between her and Wario are hilarious in this game. He doesn't give a rat's ass about her safety. If he gets paid, that's all that matters. 9-volt and 18-volt gamer connoisseurs are both human. I wasn't sure if I was going to include these guys at first since they've been exclusively tied to WarioWare, but for the sake of this video, we're counting the WarioWare verse as a part of the Mario universe. Screw it. Might as well go all in, right? 5-volt is 9-volt's human mom, who's known for her aggressive temper tantrums towards her son if he spends too much time on games. There's also rapper 13amp, who acted like a rival of sorts towards 18-volt since WarioWare Gold in 2018. Ashley, who I briefly mentioned earlier, is one of the most popular WarioWare characters out there, and for good reason. People on the internet can't get enough of a gloomy yet lovable goth-type girl. It is pretty good, I'll give it that. Will she ever get added to Mario Kart? I doubt it, but hey, she's at least been a consistent character in WarioWare since touched on the DS. WarioWare also got its own version of the boy character, specifically from WarioWare Smooth Moves, where he's a football player for the Diamond City Roughs. The Adventure King is a pirate-looking character who only appeared in 2013's Game & Wario, specifically in the Pirates minigame. Amy and Mimi are two human college girls from WarioWare Gold's Diamond City. They're also fans of the T family. Bridget the Baker is a cute human lady who runs a bakery Wario likes to visit in WarioWare Touched. She also likes to sing on the side too. Abby is a younger human girl who runs the DIY shop in the WarioWare DIY on the DS. Dr. Crygor's tricky since some may consider him a cyborg rather than a full human, but I'm giving him the Rosalina treatment and mentioning him anyway because it's likely he started out as a normal human before, giving himself augments as science became more advanced. The fact that his granddaughter Penny is a full human also backs this up. The Cares-A-Wayin is a caveman side character from the WarioWare Move It game, where his minigames consist of you needing to do different poses so he can draw for you. The Sam Island is inhabited by a tribe of humans called the Wood Watchers, serving as guardians of sorts. Kat and Anna, the Ninja Sisters, are two other long-lasting WarioWare humans, being around since 2003. Feels borderline impossible to dislike these two, as they're equally cute and badass whenever they work together. The T family feels like WarioWare's version of the Jackson 5, Jimmy T being the most famous member where he performs at Club Sugar with his brother James, sister Jamie, and parents Mama and Papa T. The owner of the club is also a human character named Sugar. Jimmy has also got a doppelganger of sorts named Jimmy P, who's just a tanner blonde version of Jimmy T but likes to dance with dogs instead. Dr. Payne is a human dentist who briefly appears in a WarioWare Touch cutscene cleaning Wario's teeth, which I imagine were filled with garlic-related cavities. Leo is another ninja character from WarioWare with the power to turn into animals, acting as Kat and Anna's rival, trying to mess with them whenever he can. Lulu is a young girl introduced in WarioWare Gold, claiming to be the heroine of Luxville. She's supposedly based on the Balloon Kid character Alice. Master Mantis and his apprentice, Young Cricket, are two skilled martial artist characters introduced in WarioWare Smooth Moves. While they seemed super serious at first, they have no issue joining in with the shenanigans Wario's other friends get up to. Mr. Sparkles is this jacked salesman who tries to sell frying pans that are abnormally heavy. Miss Munchley from WarioWare Gold is an elderly woman who hosts a Diamond City eating contest. Ninja Steve serves as a ninja instructor at the Diamond City Castle, training young ones like Kat and Anna to become the best ninjas they can. The mayor of WarioWare's Luxville is an older gentleman named Pops, appearing only in Lulu's epilogue surrounded by some other human children. Sal Out is another popular Diamond City singer. By the way, if you couldn't tell, her name is a blatant play on the term sellout. Seems like Penny Krygor's granddaughter, looks up there as well. But obviously the most well-known singer from the WarioWare series is Mona Pizza. Like, she's just the best.
That includes you, Vanessa. Stay upset. Stay upset.
Sammy Rai appears only in WarioWare Touched as a singer of traditional Japanese ballads. Winnie and Summer are two human girls who like to play around at the beach. Their names, of course, are puns of the seasons Summer and Winter.
Wait a second. Is that the Trash Man?
Trash man!
You got me with the can.
To round out the video game section, we have my favorite top picks for the next NBA draft, White Mage and Ninja. Black Mage, I love you, but you aren't human, so you can't join this club. Before getting into the final section of this video, which will cover the obscure human characters from non-video game related media, consider dropping a like and subscribing if you haven't. While this video has been fun to make and, expanded some of my old Mario knowledge more than previous, this video still took quite a bit of work to put together, as I'm just a one-man team. Thanks for your support though, and, on to the remaining Last Humans. The Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. Saturday Supercade shows are some of the oldest animated forms of Mario media out there. Both shows introduced quite a bit of unique human characters who only appeared in single episodes of these shows, never to be seen again, like Barnacle and Long John, two pirates who try to steal the money of another human woman named Miss O'Hara, but eventually have their plans thwarted by DK. Barney Todd and his assistant Trixie were nutjob circus performers who wanted to force DK to be part of his circus. Unfortunately for Trixie, she got fired within the same episode. Belle, Billy Bob, and Colonel Culpepper are thieves after a valuable object called the Emerald of the East. They try to use DK to help with this heist, but of course this backfires since the bad guys literally can't win in shows like these. It's just impossible. Another character named Brian is the son of a mansion owner and becomes the indirect target of two other human characters who go by Soames and Kenworth. They want to steal treasure from the mansion and of course fail thanks to interference from DK. Bruto's part of a biker gang with two other unnamed human characters. They set their eyes on befriending DK while on the run from the cops. Cabeza and Jose are two men from Mexico trying to cheat at winning a bullfight contest in the El Donkey Kong episode. Funny enough, the only reason the smaller one's name is known as Jose is from an archived reference sheet for the character. The name Jose is actually never said during the episode. A human named Don Diego appeared in this same episode too, serving as another contestant in the bullfight who wants to use the prize money to pay for his daughter's surgery. Great dad right there. Knuckles Darklings, his friend Muggsy, and the Hooligan brothers are all bank robbers, with Knuckles double-crossing them by giving them a suitcase filled with dirty socks instead of money. The more I'm talking about the show, the more I'm realizing a lot of these one-off villains are petty thieves with a different coat of paint each time. However, this doesn't apply to Maxwell and Boris over here. Still villains, yeah, but they were using shrinking tech to turn animals into living dolls, which is way more messed up than robbing a house, in my opinion. Put these guys 6 feet under. Mr. X? No, not that guy. I wish. This guy appears alongside Stanley the Exterminator Kid from DK3, where he wants to steal Stanley's living plant named Herman to sell it for a big payout. Panther, the Thunderbolts, and their managers Harry and Dee Dee are a rock band ensemble who encountered DK in their debut episode, wanting him to become their backup drummer after seeing his drumming skills. While Trapper Jack is a villain, he's one of the only other villains who's going out of his way to capture DK, just like Mario, albeit his intentions are more nefarious, wanting to auction off any animal he can capture. Hoss and Coach are a cowboy duo who take pride in their wins at the rodeo, attempting to prevent DK from entering to keep their win streak going. Flint Westwood is a clear parody of actor Clint Eastwood. Flint's acting is more, high seas focused rather than the Western genre though. And like I said, Donkey Kong Jr. had his own Saturday Supercade show too. This one has a lot more named human characters than his dad's. Initially, I wasn't sure if I was going to include this show either because if I'm not mistaken, Mario doesn't appear at all here, but the show was confirmed to take place in the same world as the main DK cartoon, so I think it would have been weird if I completely skipped this. The show's other main characters besides Junior himself is a human boy named Bones Bailey. Typical everyman, good-natured guy who tags along with Junior on every adventure. Alan was a young boy from the episode Big Gorilla Burgers, where he was the target of two human bullies named Mickey and Stretch. Aurora's this evil businesswoman who, with the help of her Yeti assistant, forces zoo animals to mine for gold against their wills. There's this country kid named Biff, owns a sheep ranch, but has to deal with another group of human crooks who go by the sheep rustlers until Junior's able to intervene. St. Nicholas himself, Santa Claus, has his own Christmas-themed episode. This same one was also the debut for 3 other human characters named Buzz, Waldo, and Mr. Anderson. Buzz and Waldo serving as the episode's villains, while Mr. Anderson is their victim after they stole his toy-making machine. The episode Teddy Bear Scare introduces 5 new human characters, those being Charlie the cop, Harry and Walt the thieves/kidnappers, Patty the victim in question, and her mother, Mrs. Johnson. Clyde fills a similar role to the previous show's Trapper Jack character, desiring to kidnap a seal named Flippy and use his skills to rob a pearl from another human character named Prince Raja. Flippy's human caretaker, Tina, is the one who enlists the help of Bones and Junior. Dandy Andy the ventriloquist has his own son named Peter Winson. Andy in particular becomes a victim of 2 thieves named Slick and Shorty, who lock him in a basement, pose as him, and try to steal from the customers watching Andy's performance. Dr. Demise may look like a vampire, but is actually a human supervillain. One of the few instances of a villain in the show that isn't some petty thief. He and his dim-witted assistant Horace are trying to get in the way of a superhuman child named Kid Dynamo. Junior and Bones aren't really involved in this one, funny enough, but they're kinda there. The Double or Nothing episode shows us Bones has a wealthy cousin named Lucy Bell, along with her maid Rosie and handyman Jeffrey. The villains they have to deal with are Mr. Bancroft and Hugo, 2 human men who want to live in Lucy's mansion. Jenny's a young girl with a truck driver father from the Truck Napper Caper episode. Her father was the one who got kidnapped this time around by said truck nappers. He gets saved by Bones and Junior eventually, although those 2 have to steal a truck of their own from a crazed man named Turnpike Text. A Boy Scout master named Mr. Barkley appears in the Rocky Mountain Monkey Business episode, where he's forced to deal with a unnamed escaped prisoner and his pet bear Bruno. The Roller Stars are 4 human kids named Nito, TJ, Anita, and insert name here. Not sure why the last kid doesn't have a name, but it is what it is. They're practicing for a racing competition set to take place in Mexico City when Al the human thief steals their skates, leaving room for Bones and Junior to help them out. This next section will cover the unique human characters from the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, Super Mario Bros. 3, and Super Mario World shows respectively, starting off with the live-action human characters from the Super Show, since that was the section most humans appeared in. And meet Alligator Dundee, a parody of the character Crocodile Dundee from the 1986 film of the same name. A lot of the characters in these 3 shows are parodies of real-life or mythical figures. Angelica is an elderly saleswoman for a company called Weird and Spooky Gadgets Incorporated, a very creative name. The same actress, Nedra Vols, plays a completely separate character in another episode named Mrs. Periwinkle, one of the Mario Bros. Neighbors who treats her pet goldfish like a human child. Boris the KGB agent and former Soviet Union leader Macaulay S. Gorbachev gives the Mario Bros. A visit while on a tour through Brooklyn. Singer Cher makes an appearance in the live action. Well, sort of. The character is supposed to be her, but she's played by actress Pam Matson. Pam also played herself in another episode, with her role being one of the Mario Bros. Friends. A celebrity who does play herself is singer-songwriter Cyndi Lauper. She and Mario's actor Lou Albano were pretty close in real life, so that probably played a part in her playing herself in the show. 2 other big celebrities who I was at least familiar with before I knew the show existed were Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters and NBA legend Magic Johnson, also played themselves in this alternate Mario universe. I'm not familiar with this next individual prior to this video, but reporter David Horowitz played himself on this show, where he interviewed the Mario Bros. About their business. Doc Freud, who's supposed to be a Sigmund Freud parody, is like his original, a psychiatrist who comes in to mediate a feud between the bros because Mario is leaving his work area sloppy. Oh, they actually did 2 parodies of the same character. Only this guy is Dr. Sigmund Fruitcake. A little shameless in my opinion, but sure. They're also neighbors with the actual Dr. Frankenstein, although he's called Frank N. Stein, kind of like Entropy from Crash Bandicoot. Dr. Toby, and geez, a lot of doctors in this show, is a unique character with an ability to know when a plant is about to die, using this power on Basil, Mario and Luigi's mom had. Did you guys know Mario and Luigi technically have a 3rd roommate named Edison in the show? He acts as the company electrician and is likely named after Thomas Edison. He kind of reminds me of cousin It from the Addams Family because of the way he covers his face. Luigi's got an unnamed girlfriend who appears in 1 episode. Daisy only existed for about a couple months while the show, first started airing, so it's possible it was her, but I'm probably reaching with saying that. Ellie Mae is one of the Mario Bros. Customers, a very country-style woman who's meant to be a parody of Ellie Mae Complet from the show Beverly Hillbillies. with her actress Donna Douglas playing both characters. An old man named Fred Van Winkle is an old man who randomly wakes up in the Mario Bros. Work area after sleeping for 60 years. His character is based on another fictional character named Rip Van Winkle, who fell asleep for 20 years in his book, not 60. Singer Elvis Presley is technically part of the Mario universe, albeit he was already dead in real life when this episode aired, so he was played by actor Fred Travana. Elvira's a gothic celebrity in the live-action sections, obviously a big love for horror within her. Magician Harry Blackstone Jr. plays himself in the show as well, doing magic for the Mario Bros, of course. He's someone I wasn't familiar with initially, even though I do like magic myself. And that's probably because I wasn't alive when the show was airing new episodes. There's this art collector host named Howard Stevens who shows up in the Mario Bros house when they accidentally found a famous painting whilst cleaning up. The Imperial Poobah is this guy who's apparently part of some legion of super plumbers, specifically showing up to grant them Plumbers of the Year awards. A live-action version of Inspector Gadget also makes an appearance, played by veteran actor Maurice LaMarche, who's voiced tons of iconic cartoon characters over the years. My personal favorite of his is Father from Kids Next Door. Inspector Clean, spelled with a K, is a human health inspector, wanting to make sure the Mario Bros place is up to proper sanitation standards. Jim Lang, the game show host, plays himself and the role of a game show host here. He was very prominent in the 60s, hosting shows like Name That Tune for $100,000. Mario's got another love interest in the live-action segment named Jody, although this love is mostly one-sided on her end. Singer Lil Robert is an obvious parody of singer Little Richard. Got the same hairstyle, and the episode he appears in is Tutti Frutti, named after one of Little Richard's most famous songs. A woman named Liz is treated like an escaped mental patient in her episode because she genuinely believes she's the Queen of England or something. Former NFL player Lyle Alzado has visited the Mario Bros on occasion, even wanted to go on a date with their two cousins. Mad Donna kind of has a reverse Jody thing going on, where she's another Mario-specific love interest, but it's one-sided on Mario's end now. Madame Agogo is this fortune teller the bros hire to figure out if they'll win the lottery. She says yes, but nothing really ever came of it. Mr. Gibble acts as the leader of some group called the Chippy Chipmunks, going out of his way to do good deeds for others, and wants to congratulate Mario on all the good deeds he's done over the years. Nicole Eggert's another actress who plays herself, hiring Mario and Luigi for a job. She's best known for her roles in shows like Baywatch and Charles in Charge. Patty's this little orphan girl who randomly shows up at the bros' house claiming to be an orphan and all alone on her birthday, so they throw her a party to cheer her up, but the whole thing was a ruse as it was revealed she was grounded by her real parents for causing trouble at home. Pietro's a notorious con artist showing up out of the blue claiming to be the third Mario brother. If a third Mario brother is ever introduced, they gotta name him Pietro, just for the culture. Ralph Washington is a customer of a B&B Mario and Luigi are trying to use to make some extra money, and he's supposedly related to the real-life President George Washington. Actor Rob Stone plays himself, seeking shelter in the Mario Bros. House after being bombarded by crazed fans all day. Canadian pro wrestler Roddy Piper plays himself as well, wishing for Luigi to fix his bagpipes. He'd even use those as part of his real-life wrestling routine, funny enough. Roxanne's an old friend of Mario who was promised plumbing supplies over a decade ago, but Mario never fulfilled this promise, which is probably because Mario's dumbass thought it was a marriage promise. Something that was impossible to fulfill since she was married with kids now. Sergeant Slaughter's another pro wrestler guest star. Now that I think about it, wrestlers coming in probably has something to do with Lou Albano being a wrestler himself. Shabadoo, another situation of someone playing themselves. Mario takes it upon himself to hire this guy to give Luigi dance lessons as a birthday gift. This, of course, was before Yoshi's Island confirmed Luigi was the younger twin sibling, and meaning they'd have the same birthday. Again, with child actor and musician Eric Bonsall, Susanna Ross sort of appears out of nowhere, thinking she can give the bros some more pizzazz in their lives. Her name is a combination of Susanna Hoffs from the Bangles and solo artist Diana Ross. Tawny Tyler's another one of their neighbors, only the relationship with her doesn't seem to be as friendly as it is with many of the others who live nearby. Tommy Lasagna is the make-believe coach of the Brooklyn Dodgers baseball team, meant to parody real-life former Dodgers coach and pitcher Tommy Lasorda. Willie White's a fictional radio host who spends the day at the Mario Bros. House after they won a contest that lets him stay at their house for a day, but they didn't really get much value out of his time due to tiring themselves out practicing their radio voices. Then there's young McDonald, the supposed son of famous farmer Old McDonald. He answers a call to help Luigi after he ate spaghetti sauce with vegetable seeds inside, causing plants to grow out his body. I remember when I was younger, I was one of those kids who believed the myth that eating a watermelon seed would cause a watermelon to grow inside my stomach. Good times. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Tulio both appear in the same episode. Obi-Wan, clearly a reference to the Star Wars character, is a human spirit of sorts, warns Mario he's gonna get beat up by this man Tulio, and this is because Mario asked out Tulio's sister and Tulio's not happy about it. Now onto the animated humans from the Mario shows. Even though there's 3 separate Mario Bros. Cartoons, some of these characters will overlap. They may be separate in name, but it might as well be one big show, as the production company and animation style remain the same for each one, even though the voices for some characters were replaced later on. First up is Brutius Maximus Grouchimus, a human member of the Linguini Empire and a reference to Roman politician Marcus Junius Brutus. This guy is initially working for Bowser, but ends up turning over a new leaf by the end of his episode once Bowser is dealt with. A human family from Wichita, Kansas, consisting of Norman, his wife, and children Bud and Missy are accidentally sucked into a warp zone that leads to the Mushroom Kingdom. Their main shtick is not even realizing the true danger they're in, believing the Mushroom Kingdom to be an amusement park of sorts. Dr. Sheldon and his assistant Butterfingers are Amazon jungle doctors tasked with helping find a cure to itching powder made by Bowser, although the majority of this task falls on Butterfingers when Bowser kidnaps Dr. Sheldon. Captain Clump's your stereotypical looking pirate who lives in the pirate world, eye patch, hook for a hand, talking parrot, the whole works. He's not a bad guy though, requesting help from the main Mushroom Kingdom characters as temporary crew members in order to not be outnumbered by Bowser/Blackbeard Koopa. The mayor of New York City is one of the specific named victims of an attack Bowser coordinated on Brooklyn with the goal of turning the humans into Koopified zombies. Calamity Clam is the sheriff of an abandoned Mushroom Kingdom town called Lonesome Mushroom. The same town has a mine filled with gold, which even Clam surprised exists. But of course, Bowser wants a piece of it too, so they gotta deal with that. Captain Abydab lives in the town of Happy Harbor. This woman is unbelievably jacked, so I'm kinda surprised she even needed help from the Mario Bros to begin with. I figured she'd be able to take care of herself. Crime Wave Clyde is a criminal from the real world who was sentenced to over 1,000 years in prison, so Bowser catches wave of this man and breaks him out of prison so he can help the Koopalings become better villains. Cutters, this chill surfer dude who encounters Peach while she and Toad are vacationing in Hawaii. He was cool enough to keep the Mushroom Kingdom's existence a secret too. Dylan Delbert owns a cow lot in the Mushroom Kingdom. He's a bit of a con man though, and that proves to be difficult at times when he's interacting with Mario and Luigi. Dr. Nerdnick and Dr. Teagarden are 2 well-renowned scientists. Teagarden is responsible for indirectly turning Bowser into a giant monster and directly responsible for doing the same to Mario so he can stop Bowser, while Nerdnick is more of a robotics guy and is the source of Bowser turning into a Gundam in his debut episode. One Elvis-type character wasn't enough for the Super Show. They gotta have 2 apparently. The animated one being Elvin Parsley, who acts as the ruler to a fictional town called Sockopland. The Flab Boys act as the Mario Bros. Allies when Bowser hypnotizes the people of Rapland. These guys are also loyal followers of King James. These characters act as parodies to the Fat Boys and James Brown, respectively. Same with Hercules and Sherlock Soames, being Hercules and Sherlock Holmes references. Herman the Dog Catcher is called to capture Luigi and another human character named Kin Windbag after they were turned into dogs in the Life's Rough episode. Hildy, Queen Rotunda, and Prince Pompadour all inhabit the fictional kingdom of Rotundaland. Hildy is the one who makes a passion potion so the prince can fall in love with the queen against his will. However, the passion potion causes the queen to fall in love with Mario, while Hildy accidentally drinks some herself that fell out of Punch Bowl and she falls in love with Luigi. Quite the fiasco. Indiana Joe, the Indiana Jones reference, for some reason doesn't really have a face, so maybe he's not actually human, who knows? He looks like one of those prop dolls World the imaginary friend uses in Foster's Home Destination Imagination. James Blonde has a face though, so we know for sure he's human. He lives in a place called Spyland and gets turned to stone by Bowser, where his boss, Secret Agent N, is the one to contact the Mario Bros so they can save Blonde. Romano and Joliet are obviously Romeo and Juliet parodies. Like the real play, their families, specifically their fathers, are against the 2 marrying. But thanks to Princess Peach and the Mario Bros giving the fathers their own advice, the 2 were eventually allowed to be together. They didn't die at the end though, to be clear, didn't take it that far. A boy named Junior and his parents ask Mario and Luigi to babysit their son while they're in Brooklyn for work. But the boy ends up finding a pipe to the Mushroom Kingdom while the 3 are playing hide and seek, so naturally, chaos ensues. Mark Twang, the Mark Twain parody role, feels very random, and that's saying a lot for a show like this. He's kind of just there to face off against Bowser in a boat race, needing the Mario Bros help when his boat takes damage from Bowser's. A woman named Madam Mouth appears in this episode as well, serving as a fortune teller of sorts, giving the 3 men advice on how to get around a certain obstacle in the race. Misaki is a well-known martial artist in the Mushroom Kingdom. His role in the one episode he appears in boils down to helping Mario and Luigi develop stronger martial arts skills so they can rescue Peach from Bowser again. Manga is a cave woman who specializes in medicines, pizza-related medicine in this instance, because that was what ended up curing the snake bite Mario got in this episode. Kinda surprised this character character wasn't saved for the Super Mario World season, considering the prehistoric vibe it was going for, but oh well. Oogtar is probably the most consistent recurring human character in any Mario-related cartoon who didn't make any appearances in games prior to the show's existence. A local cave boy who's really close with Yoshi, and sometimes goes on dinosaur-related adventures with the main crew. Prince Mushroom Common and his parents were once royal figures in the Mushroom Kingdom's desert land, where the prince's grave is stolen by the Koopalings, which causes his mom, the queen, to go berserk. Salvador Drantano is considered one of the best plumbers in the universe, to the point where even Mario and Luigi look up to him, and they earn his praise when they help him get back to Brooklyn, as he'd been trapped in the Mushroom Kingdom for years and couldn't find a way back home. The TV personality Mighty Plumber fills a similar role to Sal in that the Mario Bros look up to him. A big difference is Bowser is able to manipulate him early on in the episode to believe the Bros are evil. Sam Shalom's a flying carpet salesman who lives in Cloudland. Mario and Luigi seek this guy out so they can use one of his flying carpets to take down Bowser. Sergeant Cooperman is a flashback-only character. He's a real nasty guy who oversaw most of Mario and Luigi's activity while they were still in the Brooklyn Plumbers Academy. He's almost certainly a parody of Gunner Sergeant Hartman from the movie Full Metal Jacket. Sultan Pazba rules some unnamed area in Desert Land, where he captures Peach and the Mario Bros after they land in his kingdom uninvited. He also tries to sell Peach to Bowser. Some of these plot lines didn't age very well in my opinion. Vampa White hosts a game show Bowser created called Wheel of Misfortune, a parody of the wildly famous Wheel of Fortune show. Even Vampa herself is a reference to the show's old co-host, Vanna White. R&B duo Milli Vanilli guest starred as themselves in the animated Cootie Pie Rocks episode, making them one of the only major guest stars to appear in an animated episode, since most of the bigger guest stars were used in live action sections. Closing out this section is Zero, the masked hero of another part of Desertland and a very skilled swordswoman at that. She's based on another fictional character named Zorro, who fills a similar role as a masked vigilante type and was created all the way back in 1919. That is it for the animated live-action series humans. Now we're moving on to the manga one-shot characters. There's a lot less humans from this section of media, which makes sense since a lot of those mangas told stories using the characters that already existed in games, rather than creating new ones themselves. But obviously, there were exceptions here and there. The Mario Kodansha manga being the most notable instance of this, like with Ayako Okamomo. She appeared in the Super Mario Land 3 manga as a golf caddy, a position she was forced into after losing a regular golfing contest against an alter ego Bowser created for himself called Golf Dio. The mascot of the course, dubbed Golfman Robo, is also a human in disguise, a pro golfer named Shanbo Ozaki. Dosi, his daughter Minmay, and Dosi's student Nankin live in Sarasaland's Chai Kingdom. Dosi explains that Tatanga the spaceman cursed their kingdom, so Mario's gotta find a way to reverse the curse. Dr. Oreku is a scientist who teaches people how to get better at Tetris. I wish this guy was actually real because I blow ass at that game. Mario, of course, becomes his main student since King Tetris, aka Bowser, was giving him trouble in that area. A small handful of other human characters appeared in more one-shot focused comics / manga too, like the 1995 Mario Picross comic, which was only released in German issues of Club Nintendo magazines. The one human character here was a Thai salesman named Ali Mustafa, who looked a bit sketchy, but was actually trying to help Mario since he would require a Thai later on in the story. Or the Ace Reporter, who appeared in the Donkey Kong Jungle special comic, desiring to interview Cranky Kong about his kidnappings of Pauline. A personal favorite of mine is Dirk Drainhead, a plumber superhero who not only looks a lot like Luigi, but only appears in the Super Mario Bros. Comic series. Dr. Waldo Bloom appears in the same comic, wishing for Dr. Mario to act as his assistant. Friendly Floyd is less interesting, looking like a typical human salesman with a chipified body, where he makes his one and only appearance in the Nintendo Power serialized Super Mario Adventures comic. On to the final section of humans, the humans from the movies. The one with the least amount of unique humans at 2 total is the Pichime Daisakusen movie. Prince Haru, who was a dog throughout most of his screen time, was revealed in the final act to be a human prince cursed by Bowser, with an old woman named Miss Endless being the other one, only appearing at the very beginning and end of the movie as a grocery store customer. Naturally, the 1993 Mario movie would include some of its own human characters due to the film's live-action style. Daniela takes the role of Mario's girlfriend in this film instead of Peach. James is an NYU student who works alongside Daisy. Anthony Scapelli owns a construction business that seems to always be at odds with the Mario Bros. Plumbing company, so this guy's role is sort of like Spike's in the Illumination one. Angelica is one of the women who gets kidnapped by Iggy and Spike because they think she might be Daisy. The other women who got kidnapped exist, but were never given official names. Egon's probably the least important character with a name in this movie. He's a guest star on a TV show called Our Miraculous World, which is a unique show to this movie. It plays in the background towards the beginning of the film. Finally, we have the Illumination movie. Of course, I briefly touched on it earlier to go over the Mario-specific family tree, but it also had some human characters that weren't directly related to Mario. like the fake customer woman who appears towards the end of the commercial, Luigi's young bully who gets body slammed by Mario, the Brooklyn couple, or the Mario Bros, first plumbing customers, owners of that crazed golden retriever, and to save the best for last, arcade gamer extraordinaire, Giuseppe, who is an Easter egg character meant to resemble how Mario originally looked in the Donkey Kong arcade game, as well as the last time Charles Martinet used his Mario voice in a major piece of Mario-related media. It would be cool if they brought back the dad in a future film so he could, still continue to voice someone in the Mario family, although I have a feeling any future films will mostly be Mushroom Kingdom focused, so that could be hard. Doing the digging to find out about more of these human characters has not only made me realize the insane amount of them there actually are, but it's made me appreciate the more obscure pieces of Mario media than I did previously. Yet I can't help but feel a bit sad for some of these characters not playing bigger roles outside of their one-and-done appearances, and mainly the parents of characters like Mario, Peach, and Daisy. Give the human race more love, Nintendo. I think they deserve it. They could use it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye-bye.